Okay, so the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga has just introduced something that whether you're a long-time fan of the series, including Naruto, or you're just a noob to getting into Boruto, you're going to be absolutely mind-blown and just being like, wow. Because ever since towards the end of the original Boruto manga, it seems as though the authors and the creators behind the series have been taking certain liberties to adding things to the series, the lore, and just in general abilities that were previously never even thought of to be in existence. Because the Naruto series has always been heavy on action jutsu, or even stuff like genjutsu, where it kind of warps reality or whatnot. But the stuff that was introduced in 2 Blue Vortex chapter 13, mind-blowing, insane, and we gotta talk about it. Now, there's a whole bunch to say about the Boruto series as a whole, especially with the addition of chapter 13. I'm going to be having a future video where I kind of dive into the entirety of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex thus far, so please hit that subscribe button and that bell so you get notified when I release that video, because yeah, it's going to be a big one. But 2 Blue Vortex starts off from where the last one left off, with basically Boruto on the floor after the attack from Jura, and it seems as though things is in a bad situation. However, very conveniently, just as Jura is about to finish Boruto off, Mamushi shows up, aka the Divine Tree version of Bug, and says that Matsuri discovered Boruto has an accomplice, and essentially it kind of felt a little bit like a convenient way to not have Boruto killed. Like, you literally could have just finished the job right there, homie, if you wanted, but it is what it is. Purato protection this. Because shortly after that, Jura says basically, well, Hidori's bulb is about to rot, so you got lucky. It was like divine protection, which was such a bar right there. If you think about it, these are divine trees, and them not attacking and finishing Boruto off was divine protection. Talk about a double entendre in the middle of Boruto, baby. Gotta love it. But just as Jura finishes telling Boruto, hey dog, I'm not gonna kill you today, Boruto starts to reminisce, thinking back to a time where he was being hunted down by either Leaf Shinobi or Sand Shinobi. I was looking at them and their attire kind of reminded me of some of the people from the Hidden Sand, so I'm not 100% sure, although Hidden Sand would make more sense with something that we see later on in the chapter. So I'm gonna say during the time skip post Sasuke getting trapped by a tree, this is possibly Boruto either going through the Hidden Sand, maybe trying to see if he could find any camaraderie there, any people that would have his back, and maybe they were hunting him down at that particular point. Or again, it could just be the Leaf caught up with him at one time. But as Boruto was looking for a way to escape, Koji's toad approached Boruto, telling him, yo dog, I got a way out of here, you good money. I ain't gonna lie, if I was Boruto in that situation, I don't know what I'd be doing, to be honest with you, because it's like, yo dog, I'm being hunted down by these people, and now a talking frog, a talking toad is, you know, approaching me right now. But follow the toad, I guess, because Boruto takes the toad up on the offer and is summoned by Kashin Koji to an abandoned Orochimaru hideout by the Land of Wind. And while there was no Orochimaru in this chapter, it was interesting to see that they brought him to the lair, which, you know, Boruto manga always has some sort of reflection of something that happened in Naruto. Remember, during the time skip, where was Sasuke? In Orochimaru's hideout. During the time skip, where is Boruto? At the very least at this particular point, Orochimaru's hideout. And Koji begins to confirm with Boruto about the big switcheroo thanks to the omnipotence from Ada, with him and Kawaki basically trying to confirm like, yo dog, you really Boruto Uzumaki, right? Like, they playing. And I'm glad we got to see Koji apologize to Boruto of what happened way earlier on in the series with the whole Ao situation, what happened to Mujino, because you can't create a foundation between the two characters without them addressing what happened way before even the Ishiki battle. So that was a nice touch that they added to really give context to how it all came about of Boruto rocking with Koji. And then that's where the bombshells start to begin for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, where Koji starts to reveal some of the incredible capabilities that he has obtained post the Ishiki battle. Because apparently during the Ishiki battle, where Koji was knocked on the floor, he at first had felt that he had accomplished his goal. As Koji was laying there precariously on the ground, he started receiving visions of future realities. And immediately when you're looking at those pages and those panels, there's one panel in particular that you have to address and say, wait a minute, what the heck is going on? Because there's a panel of the Divine Tree people with one extra person in the midst of it, and that person kind of resembles very much so Shinki, Gaara's son from the Hidden Sand Village. Which, going back to what I was saying earlier, makes so much sense that maybe Boruto at one given point during the time skip had crossed through the Hidden Sand Village and maybe linked up with Shinki, and who knows, maybe Shinki at this particular point has been captured by the Divine Tree people as they were hunting down Boruto and everybody was going after him. Or it could just be that he looked very similar to him, but I'm gonna put my money on that's probably Shinki post time skip, how he looks, just of course with the Divine Tree makeover, which is so fire because in the Boruto anime, Shinki was one of the coolest characters that never got explained in the manga all that much. And Koji goes on to explain Even further, that Amado used Shibai Otsutsuki, the god of Otsutsuki's DNA, on each Kara member when he was putting them together, which gave all of them certain abilities based on what Shibai had. Well, not all of them. A few of them didn't get so lucky, but Code got the claws, Damon got the reflect, Ada got all of those godlike abilities, including omnipotence, but Boru, Delta, and Koji didn't get any, which is a shame because based on what's said next, there was a possibility at the very least that they could all get the abilities, because we'll never see if Boru got an ability or not. Delta, there's still possibility, and Koji, at the very last second, it was kind of like some Super Saiyan transformation. He was gifted with the ability of prescience, which to me, I just want to say pre-science. It just makes it so much easier. I'm going to call it pre-science. I know that's not the word. I know it's an actual word, but we're going to roll with pre-science because essentially it's more so less on the possible that science explains things and more so, well, yeah, it's possible, but science probably couldn't explain it. This ability reminds me of somebody from Bleach, which I won't give the spoiler on which character, but it definitely was reminiscent of a very awesome power that somebody was wielding in Bleach, and I was like, okay, there's been times where Boruto seems as though it's been inspired by Bleach, and I ain't mad at it. And here's where it gets even more interesting about this whole ability to see the future, because apparently our future isn't one straight path. He's seen futures where the tree plan was actually completed by Ishiki. He's seen visions where Kawaki and Boruto died and the tree happened. Like, there's multiple possibilities of futures, but he was actually gifted with the ability to see, like, okay, it could go this route, it could go that route, which is mind-blowing to think about. So essentially we're going into more little by little a multiverse type of idea with the Boruto series. If we're adding in all these possible futures, there's endless possibilities of what can be done with the story. The TV anime has a plethora of ways to go. There's possibilities for movies. Like, this is a very big deal to expand the Boruto story as a whole with all of these possible futures. Then it also makes me think, wait a minute, long ago, maybe you caught the video, maybe you didn't, I did theorize about time travel in Boruto, in particular regarding Kawaki and maybe him having a connection with Amado, possibly Amado even being Kawaki from the future. So if there's different possibilities of different futures, then there's a possibility yet again that this Amado guy could be from one of those possible futures, but could be a character that we know now. Just wanted to throw that in there. But on the plus side of it all, one of the epic things about it is that Koji says, yo, I could basically teach you the abilities that you were supposed to learn way later on right now. Likewise, I could give you the intel on how to help save Sasuke from the tree. So essentially everything that we've seen of Boruto and how hacks and strong he's been in Two Blue Vortex, the Uzuhiko Rasengan, him basically whipping down Code despite the fact that Code was said to be without his limiters, surpassing Naruto and Sasuke, and Boruto's making him look like a chump. Yeah, that's all Koji. So big ups to big Koji, baby. Although if you think about it, it's like, damn, so I wonder what Boruto would have been without Koji. Essentially, this is in that regard, a good possible future where Boruto is super powered up now. And not to mention, again, he has the intel on how to save Sasuke because, yeah, you know, Sasuke would be a big help and Boruto's suffering without his master. And I ain't gonna lie, Koji was just like the best thing about this chapter by far, of just all the intel, all the information, all of the exposition he dumped, and it was a great dump because he does break the news that the worst future of all is Ten Tails breaking free from Code and evolving into divine trees, essentially the situation that we're faced in right now. It seems as though it was inevitable based on what Koji said, that in almost all of the futures he saw, they were there, but it's still the worst. And of all of them, the most dangerous is Jura, which makes sense because we've seen Jura already blasted Boruto down. He could have potentially crippled Sarada, and ultimately he is supposed to kill Boruto. But I'm wondering if that already has been evaded, the idea of Jura killing Boruto, considering the fact that it seemed as though right now he was supposed to kill him, and maybe Koji's involvement, sending that toad, might have stopped the situation. So that whole thing, he is supposed to kill Boruto, maybe we already averted that situation. And it also clarifies that Jura's gonna be around for the most part throughout all of the divine trees. And I like the setup as well, that it's actually giving what I feel is more of a proper villain to the Boruto series, because being honest, Code and the Ten Tails thing, even towards the end of OG Boruto, wasn't really giving that menacing threat of a true proper villain. We had the introduction to the Shibai Otsutsuki character that we've only kind of heard words from, but I have no doubt in my mind that at some given point Shibai Otsutsuki will return in some form or another. They're hyping him up way too much to not do anything with him. It's kind of a similar fashion to the whole thing with Hagoromo, the Sage of Six Paths. Like, he is essentially playing that role of Boruto. And in the midst of all this conversation between Boruto and Koji, one of the things that Boruto laid down very, very sternly is the fact that regardless of whatever future may come from it, he is not killing Kawaki. He's essentially just gonna knock some sense into his bro and restore the Uzumaki household. That's his goal. I am so appreciative that he said that's his goal and didn't go with the classic, that's my ninja way. We had that from Naruto. That's Naruto's thing. Him saying that's his goal is also a bigger conversation of the series characters in general, the fact that, remember those words that Kawaki said very early on in the very beginning of the series when we had that time skip flash forward, the age of shinobi is over. And despite the fact that I'm sure Boruto very much so reps being a shinobi regardless, ultimately he's not really saying, yo, I'm about that shinobi life, it's just my goal. Although there's a possibility in the anime when this gets adapted it could get turned into his ninja way. But yeah, Boruto's never really been the ninja way kind of guy. He follows after Sasuke, and Sasuke's never been like, yo dog, that's my ninja way, homie. Like, Sasuke's just been like, I'm gonna do my thing. And I just gotta praise very heavily the one panel where Boruto is putting on the headband and talking about that he'll finish off Code and Ten Tails, and that was probably my favorite look of Boruto of the entirety of the series thus far. That panel was just fire. What can I say? I really dig the look of the long hair. But then we come back to the present, and Himawari awakens and easily heals Sarada's damaged nerves from the Jura blast, and that really had me like, okay, everybody in Boruto at this particular point is way stronger. You gotta throw out the notion after a certain point of the power leveling and the power scale in Naruto is what you think is going to happen in Boruto. Everybody has already in some form or another surpassed what you expected. Like Himawari healing Sarada's damaged nerves where she was just told that, yeah, it doesn't look very good, it looked like she was going to be crippled. That is a major asset and something Naruto was not capable of doing with his powers when he was using Kurama's chakra throughout all of Naruto. I guess minus the Might Guy situation in the 4th Great Shinobi War, but yeah, there's that. So massive big win and a massive asset, also allowing to have a healer on the squad because we kind of been lacking on that aspect since, you know, Sarada's more of combat and yeah, they don't have nobody in that role. So Himawari having these powers, big win. And then there was some sucker stuff, I ain't even gonna lie. I was kind of like, yo, that's a sucker move, bro. That's a sucker move where Konohamaru and Kawaki go in cahoots and cuff Boruto, and Kawaki finds Koji's frog in Boruto's jacket. I'm just there like, yo dog, y'all violating so much. Like granted, Kawaki at least was like, alright, no, you can heal him, but Konohamaru, let's do this thing. I was disappointed there. I was like, come on fam. Although if you really study the chapter very carefully and every scene where Boruto is laid out on the ground, and you go back to last month's chapter, there was a conversation, I think it was either Boruto or Boruto with the Toad, of talking about not losing it. I wouldn't be surprised if we're in for a massive setup of Boroshiki raging and wreaking havoc after this. Because if he's handcuffed and essentially he can't use any of his awesome jutsu and nobody will be able to save him from this situation, there's only a couple of routes it could go. It could be that he goes through the full process and they, you know, give him his punishment, or it could be that he's about to let loose, break free from that, and it's going to be a bad situation because we've already seen that there ain't nobody in the village that could stop Boruto. In fact, right now Boruto technically could be Hokage if he really wanted to. He has claims to the throne as the real and true heir, and at the same time he's stronger than everybody there. I mean, we've seen in every interaction he had with Kawaki to the point where it looked like he was little broing him like, yo dog, get your arm off me before I cut it off. Like Boruto is just, he's that guy. So to see them put the cuffs on him and all of that, I was like, ugh. Although Kawaki's character is pretty fascinating because he finds the Toad and doesn't relay the intel to anybody about it when he knows that that's one of Koji's frogs. Therefore, Kawaki, him allowing Boruto to be healed, him not saying about the Toad, he's a very complex character to say the least. And then the epicness of this chapter wraps up with Jura using the tree bulb to revive Hidari, which I was a little bit conflicted on that. On one hand, I was like, okay, it makes the most sense that they're gonna want to do this because they're a little bit more advanced than like a regular Zetsu of sorts or a 10-tailed creature, but then at the same time it kind of defeats the purpose of, yo, wasn't Hidari just destroyed? But then there's another side of it of they've been building up this Hidari character of his connection with Sarada, so I'm kind of torn on whether or not I was digging it or not. Although I could see this Hidari character because of his link to being Sasuke and very much so struggling with these memories, maybe at some given point Hidari might actually do something positive for the good guys. And the chapter ends with them plucking another bulb and anxiously awaiting to see what's going to emerge and what they'll name it, which if you go back to earlier in the chapter, I have no doubt in my mind that that bulb is going to be essentially a Shinki tree divine creature, and it's going to move forward from there. And I love that Boruto is actually utilizing a lot of characters that maybe they're not the most important, especially if you go back to Naruto or even early Boruto like Moegi or Bug, and actually making them formidable, credible threats that you actually care about. Like Shinki, I've always thought was an awesome character, but the Boruto manga, not the anime, the manga, never really utilized him. So if they're going to go that route of utilizing him, that also means that they're probably going to get some of the other villages, other nations involved, and it's going to get even more grandiose as the story continues. And in all honesty, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 13 just changed the game yet again, introducing the idea of all of these alternate possible futures, and in general, seeing the depths of how much Koji has influenced this series. Not to mention finding out that these abilities that Shiba Otsutsuki had were basically literally presented to these people. That's how Ada has them. That's how Damon has it, and Code. Which also leads me to believe at some given point Delta's gonna have a massive power up as well. The introduction that Himawari has these epic healing powers, like, yo, Sakura wasn't healing that quick, let alone that type of damage. The introduction to a new divine tree, and just in general, this chapter, in my opinion, was one of the best chapters. But then again, this manga has just been absolutely crazy. Of 13 monthly chapters, I gotta say there's only been maybe a couple that weren't as significant. They all have been just incredible. And yeah, chapter 13, the future is looking very crazy to say the least for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, and in general how things are gonna go. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Boruto is about to lose it, turn into Momoshiki, Boroshiki, and wreak havoc, and that's how he's going to escape and get free from the cuffs? Or is it going to be Koji getting involved yet again? And your overall thoughts and expectations for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 14 and beyond. Boruto manga is going crazy. That's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. As always, people, have an awesome day, and subscribe and hit that bell to get more.
But in the end, it always ends with the end. So let's not pretend we can always start anew, we can do it again.